Welcome to the 12 Report with Blessings Mosugu. These are the headlines. President Tinubu welcomes rescue of 308 kidnapped victims in Kwara, Niger State. Reactions as EFCC defends freezing of Osun State Government bank account. Ukraine confirms hitting refineries as Russia strikes kill 3 in overnight drone attacks. We have our reporters stationed in different parts of the country and beyond. Bernard Akede and Mercy Babajide are on standby in Osun State. Mono Balagugo joins from Kogi State, while Chisom Okafor and Sumeya Abubakar join from Abuja. We've got the details in a moment. We start off now with security matters. President Bola Tinubu has hailed the rescue of 308 kidnapped victims from Niger and Kwara State, describing the operation as a major breakthrough in the fight against insecurity. The presidency says the victims, including 163 abducted Woro community in Kwara State and 145 from Niger State, were rescued during a coordinated intelligence-led operation in the Kainji Lake National Park Forest. The operation, which involved personnel from the National Counterterrorism Center, the Armed Forces, the Department of State Services, and the Nigeria Police Force, is being described as the largest same-day rescue mission carried out by the Joint Security Team. The federal government, in partnership with key stakeholders and development partners, have commenced the review of the national peace policy in a bid to strengthen the nation's current framework for peace building and conflict resolution. Stakeholders say the policy, which was first introduced in 2012, is being updated to address emerging security challenges and promote sustainable peace across all levels of government. Our correspondent Blessing Akibe reports.
With several conflicts across Nigeria, the need to foster peace among communities has never become more apt. Peace-building experts and stakeholders say one tool readily available in the country is the national peace policy. However, many of them believe it is outdated and needs a thorough review so that it can address current challenges.
If you look at 2012 to 2026, quite a lot has happened in Nigeria. So it means that we really need to update the policy.
Germany believes that this revision of the national peace policy comes at such an important point because we see, as we've already heard, many diverse conflict resources in the country.
Many peace-building activities have been happening both at the federal level and at the state level. This is an opportunity for us to align all of these activities and also to amplify their impact.
At this workshop in Abuja, stakeholders gathered to review policy and present a draft that is all-inclusive with input from partners, the federal government and federating states. They are optimistic that the new policy will help foster peace across the nation.
Our objective is a more resilient society. What we want to do is to reduce the risk for the violent activities and minimize conflict and prevent them from escalating into crisis and violent crisis.
We will work to ensure that the final policy translates from document to delivery, from Abuja to the local governments and to the communities where these conflicts occur.
I hope that we come with a peace policy that is going to be something that we are all going to look up to in the next couple of years and know that we have a strong framework for peace in Nigeria. A Nigeria that is going to be a leader in the West Africa region, but also a leader on the continent.
Peace is not necessarily the absence of conflict. Peace is the capacity of all stakeholders to effectively manage conflict, because conflict is akin to mankind from the time of creation.
We are defining the space, trying to create a space whereby it is not only the kinetic approach that delivers results, for the Nigerian government, but a much more peaceful approach, that includes stakeholders engagement, dialogue, mechanisms, and all the things, that allow our government to achieve their constitutional mandate in a much more peaceful, coherent way.
With the national peace policy now being reviewed and updated, it is hoped that it will help in fostering peace-building efforts across the country. In Abuja, for News Central, Blessing Akibe.
Now to development in Osun State. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission insists it has the statutory powers to temporarily freeze a state government's bank account without a prior court order. The anti-graft agency is defending its post-no debit order on an Osun State statutory allocation account amid fierce protests from state officials who brand the move an illegality. EFCC Director of Public Affairs Wilson Owojare says the commission acted swiftly to freeze the account after detecting massive, suspicious transfers to private corporate entities within 1 week. The agency reveals that the action is tied to an ongoing 11 billion naira fraud probe involving ecological and federal intervention funds. In the meantime, the reported freezing of the Osun State Government's statutory allocation account by the EFCC has sparked legal and political controversy ahead of the 15 August governorship election. The anti-graft agency says the restriction is part of an investigation into the alleged diversion of about 11 billion naira in public funds and insists the move is not politically motivated. However, the Nigerian Bar Association and several senior advocates of Nigeria argue that the EFCC cannot freeze a state account without a valid court order. Opposition parties have condemned the action as an act of political intimidation, while the APC has backed the EFCC's decision. The Osun State Government says it will challenge the restriction in court. Still talking politics, a Accord Party candidate in the Osun State governorship election, Ademola Adeleke, has urged residents to vote against the APC in the upcoming election, accusing the opposition of neglecting civil servants during its time in office. In a post on X on Thursday, the Osun State governor alleged that state workers endured hardship under the APC administration. He said he would not allow the APC to return Osun to the days when civil servants had to beg their neighbors for food. In a separate post, Adeleke defended his administration's record on workers' welfare, saying civil servants have remained a priority since he assumed office. Adeleke is seeking a second term in the 2026 Osun State governorship election under the Accord Party. News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede and Mercy Babajide, are currently in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, from two different regions, and they join us live now to give us more updates. Bernard, I'll start with you. First off, where exactly are you in Osun State, and what is the political atmosphere in the state as the governorship election draws closer, especially with all of this drama that is unfolding?
All right, thank you, Blessings. Well, I'm currently around Okefia area of Osogbo, the state capital, and to answer your question, well, basically, the atmosphere, or should I say the political atmosphere, is actually quite interesting, so to speak. There are billboards here and there. If you look around, I mean, I'm looking at some billboards at the moment of different political parties and different party candidates. And to my right, what you're looking at right now is some kind of rally that is just about to kickstart. Apparently, the current governor is commissioning this flyover that you can see, and you know, that is exactly where most of the people are headed. It gives the feeling that the political drama currently ongoing, especially the freezing of the state's account, has not deterred the governor and his supporters, such that they are still going on with their various activities, and of course other party members who are going on with their activities. Prior to this bulletin, we've been speaking to certain people across the state, asking them what the feeling is like and what they are expecting of the incoming government, whether it be the current governor who wins the election or a new candidate who wins. What will their expectations be? A lot of them are optimistic, others just want a good life. I'm currently with a gentleman here. His name is Tosin. He is a bus driver, and we had started the conversation just before the bulletin. Tosin, good morning. As the election won't start now, different things don't happen since. After 4 years, what do you want with the government do for you now, what they never do before?
My name is Oluwatosin. I'm living at Osogbo here. But I really appreciate what Ademola Governor Ademola Adeleke was doing for Osun here, because he really tried. But coming election, I believe it's only God can judge, because he really performed in Osun State. But let's say, well, let leave everything to God, because I really appreciate the Governor Ademola Adeleke in Osun. Let's end it.
Okay, let me just ask you, what challenges are you facing around in Osun State or around Osun State that you personally think should be addressed?
Well, let me say, I will just address Osun to do the election, silent election. We should not fight with anybody. Just going to go and vote for anybody you like in Osun State. Let the peaceful reign in Osun. That's what I can say in Osun State.
All right. Thank you, Tosin. Well, blessings as for Tosin, he basically is asking for a peaceful election in Osun State. And of course, you can understand why. In the weeks leading to this period and leading to the election, there have been various stories in some quarters of violent activities concerning elections. And of course, basically because of the latest happenings, the freezing of the accounts. But as I did mention, it does appear that even with the freezing of state accounts, the state governor and the government generally are still going on with their activities, just as I have shown you, the commissioning of the flyover and the rally that is commencing today.
All right, Bernard Akede there in Osun State, giving us an update and showing us that Osun State nothing has changed regardless of the EFCC's freezing of the state government account. But we still have Mercy Babajide, who's also in another region of Osun State, and we want to hear from her. Mercy, how is it going over there? What would you say that the mood is, especially considering the EFCC's involvement in the government activity? Would you say that the government is still going on with the preparations as planned, or what's happening there?
All right, good afternoon, Blessings. I've tried to reach out to some of the government officials, but then no one is taking their calls. But then I'll take it from the people's angle. Most of the people are ready to, of course, cast their vote come the election date. But then talk about the atmosphere. You would see flyers and everything everywhere. And earlier on, I spoke about missing banners or torn banners. But then we interviewed a couple of persons who said the governor has assured them that irrespective of how tense the state is, they should equally come out and ensure that they cast their votes. But then I'll be speaking with a couple of persons here to know how prepared they are for the elections. Kasan, sir.
Hey, Kasan.
Yes. Báwo ni ẹ ṣe múra sí election tó ń bọ̀ ní ọjọ́ in 9 days time?
Àti múra àti gbáradì lórí pé ìbò kọ́lọ̀ ọba aláàjù lọ. Okay, nígbà tí election ń bọ̀ báyìí, election ń bọ̀ ní next week, èèyàn tó bá win, kí lẹ fẹ́ sọ fún èèyàn yẹn pé kó ṣe, kí lẹ fẹ́ kí èèyàn yẹn kó ṣe yàtọ̀, àbí kí lẹ fẹ́ kí ni wọ́n ṣe yàtọ̀ báyìí tí ẹ nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí? Gbogbo tí ọba ti dá ẹni tí ọba sá wọlé kọ́lọ́njọ́ jẹ́ ẹni tí ọ̀rọ̀ mi lọ́rùn tí ó sì rọ aráàlú náà lọ́rùn.
Okay, I will be translating what he said. He said that he's praying that whoever wins the election would favor everyone in the state. But that's all we have for you for now. Over to you in the studio.
All right, Mercy Babajide as well with the update. Mercy, I mean, I don't know if Bernard is still there. I really want to find out, though, Bernard, are there no questions arising from this latest development? I mean, we seem to be forgetting that the EFCC is claiming that there have been some allegations of funds misappropriation and funds being transferred in large chunks to another account. And it seems like nobody's asking the questions and everybody just wants the best man to win. Hasn't this affected or even raised any form of distrust whatsoever?
Blessings, thank you. Well, so far, the questions we've been asking the people, nobody seems to pay any attention. Basically, largely those who are in support of the ruling party seem not to be paying any attention to the allegations made by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. If anything, they seem to be calling it witch hunting. There seems to be some kind of unanimous agreement by supporters of the ruling party that the EFCC and the APC, talking about the government, the party in power across Nigeria, is using everything within its arsenal to pull down the ruling party here. Remember that the party in charge of Osun State is the Accord Party, not one of the not one of the many popular parties in Nigeria. So the general belief by supporters of Accord Party here is that the ruling APC, the federal ruling APC, is doing everything it can to pull down Accord Party and the current governor, Ademola Adeleke, and try to destabilize their election election plans and processes, basically. But they are saying that they will not be deterred. They will continue with whatever it is that they are going. And just like you read in the story, that the governor is currently urging his supporters and all residents and citizens of Osun State to go to the polls come 15th of August and cast their vote, basically. So again, to answer your question, I think the political class and the political elite, while they are having their own conversations, the people, the generality of the populace are just going on with their businesses, while the supporters are saying that they will not be deterred regardless of what the EFCC or any other agency does.
All right, great job, Bernard Akedi, and of course, Mercy Babajide, who are giving us the update on the Osun elections preparation. And of course, the new development with the EFCC's allegations on funds transfer in large chunks and misappropriation allegations as well. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a short break. We'll be right back shortly with more stories. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We're still staying on election matters as preparations for the 2027 general elections continue. Stakeholders are pushing for greater female participation and representation in Nigeria's political process. While more women have secured party tickets, concerns remain over the challenges they face in translating those victories into electoral success. To strengthen their chances at the polls, women candidates and key stakeholders are meeting in Abuja to discuss campaign strategies, capacity building, and a shared agenda for inclusive leadership. All right, Sumaya Bakar will be joining us later to give us more updates on that. Now let's go to Plateau State. The African Democratic Congress in the state, under the David Mark-led faction, has condemned what it describes as attempts by some individuals to circulate fake governorship primary election results aimed at displacing the party's duly elected candidate, retired Brigadier General John Sura, ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking at a press conference in Jos, the Plateau State capital, the state chairman of the ADC, Dong Pam, also distanced the party from individuals he described as highlined, allegedly sponsored by a former Minister of Sports, Sunday Dalong, parading themselves as members of the party's caretaker committee in the state.
Individuals to present fake governorship primary election results and fraudulently submit the duly nominated governorship candidate was successfully blocked. The legitimate mandate of Brigadier General John Sunday Sura was protected, and the conspiracy against the wishes of party members was completely defeated. Gentlemen of the press, we are equally aware of a group parading themselves as a caretaker committee, allegedly sponsored by the former minister, Honorable Solomon Dalung. The Plateau State chapter wishes to state categorically, I want to repeat here, categorically, that such a group has no constitutional recognition within the structures of the African Democratic Congress in Plateau State. Their activities do not represent the interests of our party. That certain individuals have been strategically planted by ruling APC to infiltrate our party and sow seeds of division. While such tactics are not uncommon in politics, we wish to assure our members that the leadership of the party remains vigilant. Appropriate constitutional and disciplinary measures will be taken against anyone found working against the collective interests of the party.
And let's circle back to the conversation and stakeholders pushing for greater female participation. Our correspondent, Sumaya Bakar, is currently at the FCT and will be giving us more updates on this development. Sumaya, we have had this conversation some time ago, how a lot of women, even though sometimes they indicate interest in being a part of the elections, but you hardly see any one woman make it into the party primaries, and this has become a cause for concern, even based on the statistics. So what are the key objectives of this summit? How is it expected to support women candidates ahead of the 2027 elections? Once again, we apologize for that. Sumaya Burker will be joining us as soon as we're able to establish connections with her. But moving away from that, the National Economic Council Implementation Monitoring Committee has commended the Edo State government for what it describes as visible commitment to improving the lives of residents through infrastructure and economic development projects. The commendation followed a 3-day assessment of projects executed by the administration of Governor Monday Okpebholo. News Central's Edo State correspondent Amenze Bazwai reports.
After 3 days of inspecting key projects across Edo State, members of the National Economic Council Implementation Monitoring Committee say the state is making significant progress at improving the lives of its people. Leader of the delegation, Busayo Awotunde, described the pace of development under Governor Monday Okpebholo as impressive.
To say I'm impressed is an understatement. For a government that is barely 2 years and have done so much, it shows that the government is committed and is investing into the life of the people of Edo State. We are going to go back, because we have evidence, we are going to go back and report to say that Edo State government is inclined, aligned, and is committed to improve the livelihood of people in Edo State. We are impressed.
Deputy Governor of Edo State, Dennis Idahosa, and the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Dr. Elizabeth Ebusele, appreciated the team for the feedback, adding that Governor Okpebholo remains committed to delivering impactful projects across the state.
I want to thank the Executive Governor of our dear state, my boss, distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo. He is a transformational leader. The project that he has embarked on is evident. The Governor of Edo State is working in all the three central districts that makes Edo State, the 18 local government, and is doing it simultaneously. In the health sector, distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo had completed 61 PSC centers across the 3 senatorial districts. In addition to that, is building, general hospitals, at least two in the 3 senatorial districts.
We've taken them around Edo State to see the infrastructure on ground, because it's not just to go to National Economic Council meetings. There are resolutions that emerge from those meetings, and then you have to now go to your state and implement those resolutions, which His Excellency has done. And I think they were saying if they were to score him, they would score him 110%.
The committee, which is tracking development initiatives across the country, is expected to submit its findings to the National Economic Council in Edo. For News Central, Amenze Bazwai.
Now to a bit of sports. Nigeria Football Federation President Ibrahim Gusau has praised the Super Falcons after they secured a place in the quarterfinals of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Gusau commended the team's resilience after their impressive 6-2 victory over Egypt in the final Group C match, describing the performance as a demonstration of Nigeria's fighting spirit.
We always have confidence in the girls. We know they will not disappoint us. And by the grace of God, they have taken the day. And we don't have any doubts about what they can do. And at least you saw what they did, and we're happy to see that at least we qualify to the next round.
News Central's Onyechi Obaro is live in Morocco and now joins us for more updates. Onyechi, after watching the Super Falcons turn around from the opening defeat to Malawi to the emphatic win over Egypt, what has changed most in the team's approach, both tactically and even mentally?
It was looking like Egypt had our code, had our numbers in order to get a win against the defending champions like the Super Falcons of Nigeria. But a change of mentality made us see a change of the game plan for the Super Falcons in that encounter yesterday. Also, the motivation coming from the fans. Now, the fans were not in numbers at the stadium yesterday, but the few, you could still hear them as loud as possible, chanting the girls. I feel like the fans were those who put the girls on their feet, because at every time they were monitoring that game between Malawi and Zambia, and they knew the odds. They've already done the permutations. They knew what the Super Falcons needed to do. They knew the Super Falcons needed more goals in order to have that advantage of having a greater head-to-head record against Zambia. Now, of course, they never knew who would qualify between Zambia and Malawi from that encounter. But at every single time we saw the goals coming in between Zambia and Malawi, the fans were prompting the girls. There were chants about the Super Falcons giving them more goals, and there were other chants about them saying they are now third on the group. And, you know, being the third on the group, you will not qualify out of the group. But at all times, the fans kept chanting the girls, telling them an update from the other match being played in Rabat. Also, we had little kids from Egypt who were very notable in that encounter yesterday. They were very neutral, and that was just the spirit of fandom when it comes to football. They were supporting the Super Falcons all the way. These are children that were brought from academies from Egypt, but we saw oneness on the pitch of play. So it's the mentality from the girls and that fan support, that fandom that created a change in that encounter against Egypt's Blessings.
We're there in Morocco, and she still has her eyes on ground and will be giving us more updates as this development unfolds. We're excited to see how this turns out. And of course, Onyechi is still on ground. Now, an array of land-grabbing cases has continued to plague the Federal Capital Territory. The Enugu State Government was embroiled in one of such cases, which spanned about 10 years before they secured victory in the Woodlands case, primarily through independent investigations conducted by the Nigeria Police Force and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which verify the state's authentic title ownership. Our correspondent, Chisom Okafor, is live and brings us more details. Chisom, give us more details about this particular case.
You know, land cases, controversies, land, land clashes, FCT, age demolition and revocation exercises. These issues are not really new in the FCT, but this is one of those high-profile cases that a lot of us have followed for, well, like I said, you rightly mentioned, over 10 years now, and involving the Enugu State Government, a land that was allocated to this state back in 1993. And then there are some opposition people that came up with some sort of a power of attorney, claiming that this land now belongs to them. Apparently, they got this power of attorney in 2013. And just like you mentioned, with an investigation by the police and the EFCC, they looked into the matter, and then they realized that these people that are claiming ownership, they got this ownership through this this power of attorney, rather, using fictitious directors and non-existent corporate addresses. The police could not make arrests with some of this names that they saw during the investigation, because apparently it was out of thin air. Sort of reminds me of the same issue on ground with the director of an agency that is still currently being investigated. So these are some of the issues that have been raised today. I have to come outside. The network is quite bad. The internet is quite bad where we are. And the hall where they're currently having the Enugu State Government collaboration with some of the partners that they worked with to have this woodland estate in Abuja. We're here in Wuye, Abuja, which is also where the land, that was over 1.02 hectares of land, was allocated to them. So it's more of a celebratory conversation happening today, a celebration today, saying that after how many, almost 10 years, victory has been assured. And like I already mentioned, there are a lot more of these cases in court involving even in the FCT minister, FCT administration. So there's a conversation that is still on, that we're still going to follow. This is just one out of many, one victory right now, and we're going to continue to follow. I was supposed to speak with one of the project directors. Unfortunately, a presentation is going on, and like I said, it's we're going to have a Minister of Technology also joining some of the conversations today. So we're going to definitely bring an update in our subsequent bulletin. Back to you in the studio's lessons.
All right, thank you so much, Chisom Okafor, there with the details of alleged land-grabbing case, and we're still following this story very closely. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on yet another quick break. Stay with us for more stories when we come back. Now, as preparations for the 2027 general elections continue, we did say earlier that stakeholders are pushing for greater female participation and representation in Nigeria's political process. And we have News Central's correspondent Sumaya Abubakar, who is live at the venue where we're discussing promoting female inclusion in 2027 elections. Sumaya, we had this conversation some time ago, and we see that based on the statistics, it's quite disturbing that even though a few women indicate interest in being a part of politics, they hardly even make it to party primaries. So what are the key objectives of this summit? How is it expected to support women candidates ahead of the 2027 elections?
Good afternoon, Blessings. Yeah, talking about the major, reason or objective of this meeting is, of course, to talk to these female candidates by the OGs, talking about the people, the female women candidates or women former, power holders that are in the room to share their own experiences, help in fundraising, and also resourcing, talking about mobilizing women in terms of voting, because it has been established that women are more than 50% of the voting, house of voting power in Nigeria. So this is a major reason. I have to point out that the Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, was here, and she pointed out the importance of, women, she for she and also he for she, calling for male counterparts to also, push for the representation of women. But then to give us more importance of this, this particular event, we have a female representative or female candidate of representing the Ika constituency in Delta State, Vera Ashibogu, to be telling us, what this event would do for her. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so explain to us, as a female candidate, what this event, the discussions that is being held here would help you.
Yes, I really gain a lot from today's program, She for Sheep. We female candidates that are contesting, that just won our primary, and our name is on the INEC portal already. We are grateful, but now I've learned a lot that we really need women to back us. Like the analysis, the statistics that they just taught us, that women vote for men more than women. They have their reasons, but with that, what I've learned, I'm going to take it home and work closer with women, with market women, communicate more with them. That's just the way they told us we should come down to earth, because they were complaining that women are too proud. That's one of the things they were complaining in this program. So we are going to come low to their standard. So I've taken that home. I've really learned a lot from this program today.
So what is your call? I mean, you coming out to vie for an office, it's a big deal. So what is your call on other women in participation in political scene?
Yes, for example, like from my place, I'm from a federal constituency of Delta State. A male has been representing us for the past 16 years. And his voice has not been heard in the National Assembly. If I'm telling people I'm from a car, it looks strange to them. When you watch the television, you will see people sponsoring bees. He has never sponsored one bee for 16 years. So I've never had a good representation in my federal constituency. So I'm going to give my people a better representation. I'm going to bring our case to the central for them to know this is what we really need in a car federal constituency of Delta State.
And also calling on women to participate more in politics.
Yes, I'm really encouraging women to come in, because like in my party, we are just two in the whole of Delta States, just two. Male is everywhere. So we are calling on women to come on board. One thing about women, we are scared because the men domination is much. But with the strength of women for she, we have the backing of other women. So women should just come into politics. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vera. So yeah, basically this is some of the conversations that is being held here. They are pointing out on the fact that women should come, not wait for handouts. And when it comes to the pushing for the women's seat bill, it should not be something that is not foreseeable, something that is impossible. There should be a push. One of the speakers also pointed out that we should not even push for 50% reduction in price, because it gives women, a disadvantage right from the outside, because words are being thrown around on that. So yeah, basically a robust conversation on women coming out and march to vote and also to participate in the governance in the country, and pushing on leaders to also, give women appointments in the country. Back to you.
All right, Sumaya Burker there with the update on the advocating for more women in politics. Thank you, Sumaya. We take a closer look at Malawi, a country still navigating the aftermath of recent elections. With President Peter Mutharika at the helm, many Malawians are now assessing his leadership and the direction the country is headed. There have been questions about his frequent travels and whether they reflect a focus on governance or personal priorities. To shed light on these issues, we're joined by a political analyst and lecturer at Mzuzi University, Malawi, Crispin Mfande. Thank you so much for joining us. Many Malawians have expressed concerns about President Mutharika's frequent travels since he assumed office. What do these travels actually signify? Are they affecting his engagement with domestic issues, or are people just disgruntled that he's traveling around at this time?
Thank you so much for having me. Let me clarify here. So far, the president has only been engaged in private visits. These are not official visits. So far, he has the recent one is the fourth one. So in terms of him traveling a lot, no, we have seen quite a reduction in terms of frequencies of presidents traveling. But for him, so far, he has only traveled 4 times, and these are private visits, not official visits. Thank you.
So in your opinion, how has the president handled key issues like economic development, governance, and social welfare during his tenure? Because it's one thing to engage in private journeys, but then I think the reason more people are disgruntled is because it doesn't seem to them like he's also handling some of these issues like he should.
Yeah, true. One of the things that we should know clearly that we are coming from a scenario where we had the heavy fuel shortages, heavy forex shortages, prices were going very high, there was heavy food shortages. So these things were there. And these are some of the things that made the Malawians to decide who should be the next leader. All right? So the voting in of the President Mutharika was aimed at the fact that maybe, let's see, we'll see what changes in terms of food security. Now, it's true. So far, so good. We see that the food is there. And then at the same time, the flow of fuel is also there. But maybe some issues to do with governance, maybe there could be some challenges. But in terms of these basic things like fuel shortages and food security, it is there. But maybe the question would be, maybe because now, how prepared is the government as regards the coming El Nino, as regards the next growing season? Because as of now, we rely mostly on what was happening like last year. So on the two things, in terms of fuel stabilization, yes, we've seen. In terms of food security, we've seen. But in terms of forex, we still have challenges. And this is mostly a product of the things that we are mostly an importing country as opposed to exporting, because we sold so many of our industries through privatization. So that has been a bigger challenge for us. So these are kind of things which we hope that the president will start addressing, looking at how best can we improve our industries, how best can we improve our agriculture sector, so that at least we should transform ourselves from relying on rain-fed to now investing more in irrigation and mechanized farming.
All right, thank you so much. Political analyst and lecturer at Mzuzu University, Malawi, Crispin Mfande. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this development. You're live with us on the 12th Report. We're going on a short break now. When we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Glad you're still with us. Ukraine says it struck 2 Russian oil refineries deep inside Russian territory in overnight drone attacks targeting facilities in Bashkortostan and Yaroslav's region. President Volodymyr Zelensky says the strikes were aimed at increasing pressure on Moscow to pursue peace, while Russia claims it intercepted more than 600 Ukrainian drones. Meanwhile, Russian attacks struck a train station in Ukraine's Kharkiv region, killing 2 people. Another strike hit a commercial vessel carrying Ukrainian wheat in the Black Sea, leaving 1 person dead. Right now, News Central senior international correspondent and anchor Afia Hagen joins us to give us more update on this development. Afia, first, bring us up to date. 6 people have been killed and more than 30 people are wounded so far. What's the latest on the strikes, and could the toll rise any further than it has already?
Yes, so these latest strikes were spread across Ukraine rather than concentrated in one barrage. When we spoke yesterday, we were talking about the barrage being concentrated in Kyiv, the capital. Now, this time, you've got different regions being hit, and I think that's quite significant. So you had people killed in Balakila in the eastern Kharkiv region after Russians struck residential areas. You had emergency crews out fighting fires and clearing debris there. You had another 3 people killed in the northern Sumi region, where at least 19 were wounded. In Sumi city itself, guided aerial bombs injured another 12 people. And then it was a separate drone attack in the southern Kherson region. So this is a real illustration of the breadth of the threat. You've got homes in the east, you've got settlements in a major city in the north, you've got a civilian vehicle hit in the south in a relatively short space of time. So you have Russia using different weapons for different areas, guided bombs for the borders and front lines, and then drones for moving vehicles and communities further south. So we could see the death toll still rise, particularly because rescuers are still doing their jobs today.
So at least, unfortunately, 17 people were killed in an earlier attack on what Ukraine calls civilian firms. Is Russia increasingly targeting civilian and economic infrastructure, do you think?
It does seem that way. It certainly seems to be this intensifying pattern you have of Russia aiming for civilian infrastructure targets, whether that's warehouses, distribution centers, railway stations. There was a manufacturing facility as well, and a manufacturing facility that provides to major retailers and businesses. You had 13 warehouses in total that were damaged, along with that factory, and of course private homes, residential homes, private vehicles as well. So it does seem to be that, yes, Russia is increasing their attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure. So we need to qualify that by saying that Russia absolutely disputes what the Ukraine says about these sites being particularly or purely civilian. Russia says that some of these logistics centers were storing or distributing dual-use goods or drones components. So some of those factories or manufacturing facilities that were hit were potentially providing parts for drones and drones that are being used against Russia. But it does seem that there is an increasing pattern, like I said, of civilian targets, factories, manufacturing facilities being hit by Russia.
All right, News Central senior international correspondent and anchor Afia Hagen with the update on the Russia-Ukraine war. That's all on the news today. The 12 report. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Follow us on social media because we want to see what you see. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Wasugu.